So today we're going to be looking at a couple of proprioceptive exercises to start to help with becoming more aware of where your shoulder joint is located. So within our shoulder joint we've got a relatively plate-shaped socket with a little bit of cartilage that runs around the edge just to create a bit more suction, a bit more depth to that socket, and then we've got a very spherical ball. So it allows us to do all the kind of weird and wonderful movements that our shoulder allows us to do, just means that it's a little bit less kind of mechanically stable. And our rotator cuff is the thing that then hugs the ball onto the socket. When it comes to good rotator cuff function and when it comes to shoulder joint stability itself, we need to know how to centre the ball in the socket. And so we see people running into issues with rotator cuff not working as we want it to, or with instability when that shoulder joint starts to migrate. So when the humerus, the ball of the ball and socket, starts to migrate towards the front, it can migrate towards the back, but predominantly the problem we see is that anterior translation. So we're going to have a little chat through a couple of things today that you can try, one lying down, one sitting or standing, in order that you can start to get more of a sense of where you are in space, and then you can then transition those skills over into using that during maybe weight training or resistance band training as well. So we're going to start off lying on our backs. Now, if you've had a recent dislocation, if instability is a problem for you, be really respectful of sort of sensations of apprehension. Anything I give you, if that brings on any kind of apprehension that the shoulder is going to become unstable, back off, change things up a little bit, adjust, work through smaller range, etc., etc. So don't push into instability feeling unless we've discussed exactly how to do that safely. Okay, so I'm going to come down onto my back. Feel free to prop your head as much as you need to, okay, so folded towel or something like that is absolutely great. And then you'll notice I've got a kind of pad. This could be a thick book, it could be a pillow, it could be a folded towel. What I want to do is I just want to get my shoulder to a place where it's not, my elbow's not on the ground, which will then mean that your shoulder joint starts popping forwards, okay? We kind of want our humerus, so our upper arm bone, to be parallel to the floor. My arm is about 45 to 60 degrees out from my side, okay? And I'm just going to roll out my t-shirt sleeve so you can see what we're doing. So this is the ball of the ball and socket joint here. I can feel kind of the top of my humerus in between my fingers here. And I'm going to lay my opposite hand onto my chest with my fingertips on the front of the shoulder. Now, as long as you feel safe to do this, you can play around with popping forwards and back. And we're just going to see whether we can settle that shoulder back. What we're not doing is forcing it back and creating lots of tension, but what we don't want to do is to kind of have a sense that it's lifting up and out. And what we're aiming to do is to keep this shoulder just quietly back and quietly located in the socket, okay? So we're going to keep it kind of a sensation of what we're doing. We're not pushing, but we're just monitoring what we're doing. And I may have also talked to you about even using a mirror to be able to see that shoulder, or you might even look down at that shoulder as you're doing this. If proprioception is lacking, we need to look, we need to feel, we need to listen to our body in order to enrich that proprioceptive experience. Okay, so I'm going to keep that shoulder just down and quiet, nice and chilled there. Elbow at 90, I'm just going to see, can I start to do a little bit of gentle rotation here? And you'll notice I'm just rotating my humerus. So I'm not bending and extending my elbow, I'm not waving my elbow about, I'm just rolling that humerus one way or the other. Now how far you go is completely up to you, according to how safe you feel, how stiff that shoulder joint is. All of these factors will come into play. But what you will notice is that my shoulder joint is staying nice and quiet back in its socket. What I'm not getting is a big roll of that shoulder as I move, okay? And you might even monitor what your shoulder blade's doing against the floor as well. Once you're used to this, feel free to add a can of beans for a ½ kilo weight or 1 kilo weight into your hand. If you feel you want that extra challenge, just make sure you're loading up appropriately for the stage of rehab that you're at. Some of you may find it difficult to find time within your day that you can lie down, so we'll just chat through kind of how to monitor things in sitting or standing as well. I'll turn sideways so then you can see what I'm up to. So again, we can get a sense of where the ball is in the socket. We could sense that kind of forwards, backwards sort of translation. And if we keep our palms settled onto our pecs, onto the front of our chest, then we can feel what the shoulders are doing in relation to that as well. So again, I'm not forcing anything, I'm not compressing around the back. I just want to quietly bring that shoulder back. And then you might then notice, can I then rotate? And can I keep that sense of rotation really nice and clean without getting lots of unnecessary movement going on? I'm sort of hopping forwards there, okay? And if I've then given you maybe some resistance band exercises, you're then just going to get a sense of, am I moving around that central axis? Am I centred? Or have I got lots of other stuff going on there as well, okay? You can monitor really nicely if you're doing resistance band inwards and outwards. A little bit more difficult with forwards and backwards, but just kind of get a sense of where you are in space. So as I said, work within your capabilities, be respectful of the stage of rehab that you're at, avoid really unpleasant acute pain when you're doing this, don't push into stiffness if instability is part of your problem, and be respectful of instability as well. As always, any questions, any concerns, just